In this video, we're going to look at breadcrumbing, what it is, including some really helpful examples, and why it's so upsetting. Breadcrumbing is one of the most frustrating aspects of online dating, partly because it's so hard to know when it's happening. You're left wondering whether you should keep investing time and energy into someone you've matched with, or whether it's time to just move on. By the end of this video, you're going to be able to identify times when you're much better off walking away from a potential date, which lets you enjoy better dates with the guys who are actually a good prospect for a strong, healthy relationship. And if you're looking for a healthy relationship, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and make sure you don't miss any of our great advice. So let's start by talking about what breadcrumbing is. Breadcrumbing mostly happens with online dating, but it can sometimes happen even after you've met someone. They keep throwing out little crumbs of affection and interest without ever actually intending to turn it into something serious, sometimes never even planning to have a date. Now, there are lots of different reasons that someone might breadcrumb you, and none of them actually have anything to do with who you are, what you say, how you act, or anything about you at all. It's almost always based on who the other person is, their personal values and ethics, and what they have going on in their lives. So why might they be breadcrumbing you? The first explanation is that they're already in a relationship and they have no intention of cheating. Okay, so this is an awful reason to breadcrumb someone. Not that there are really any good reasons to do it. But honestly, this is probably the worst of a bad bunch. They are in a monogamous relationship, but they miss the fun and excitement and personal validation of dating. They want all the good bits of dating, such as getting to know someone new, being told how attractive and awesome you are, and the joy of flirting with someone you find attractive without actually having any of the downsides, such as genuine anxiety about how it's going to turn out, or having bad dates, or even feeling lonely. Now, that's incredibly cruel, disrespectful, and hurtful to their partner and to you. Both of you deserve to have your feelings taken into consideration and to be treated as if you matter. By flirting with you, he's betraying the trust that his partner has given him. He's also lying to you, leading you to believe that there's a chance of a serious relationship with him. He's treating you as if you're not a real person with real feelings. He's only thinking about how you make him feel. Irritatingly, he's probably telling himself that he's a good person. He will often remind himself that he's not actually cheating on his partner by his very narrow definition of cheating, and that therefore he's not actually doing anything wrong. Again, this is completely ignoring the impact that his actions have on you, let alone how his partner would feel if she knew. Now, the second reason he might breadcrumb you is that he's actually deeply in love with someone else, and he's desperately trying to get over her. This is much less disrespectful than the previous example. He's not trying to cheat, and he's not actually made any commitments to anyone else. He might even think that he's over her, only to realize that he's not when she reaches out to him. She might be breadcrumbing him. It's no excuse for him passing that breadcrumbing on, and it doesn't make it any better for you. But that might be something that's happening. Now, you don't deserve to be someone's consolation prize. And to be honest, he really needs to be more upfront about what's going on for him. He might also breadcrumb you if he's just really, really, really busy. Now, some guys do have incredibly busy lives. They're not breadcrumbing you because they want to string you along. It's just that that's all of the spare time and energy that he might have to spare. Now, you might think that just sending off a quick text is super easy. It doesn't take any time at all. There's not really any excuse for not texting back. As someone who is serially bad with texting, it's not always that easy. It can be quite difficult, especially if they do care and they want to say something meaningful. That's really, really tricky. Also, if his job involves a lot of driving or a lot of travel, it really can be difficult. Now, the good news is that this probably means that he's a relatively decent guy. You know, he does care. He's not trying to breadcrumb you. It's just that that's the effect. Unfortunately, he's probably still not a very good bet for a serious long-term relationship unless you're happy with someone who's just around now and again. Someone who doesn't have the time to engage with you properly during the dating phase will probably not have time for you later on in the relationship. Now, he might also be keeping you around in case another dating prospect doesn't work out as he would have liked, and then he can use you as a backup. Now, that is unbelievably rude, but we do need to look at it in context. And I'm not making an excuse for guys here, okay? Breadcrumbing is wrong and it's not okay, but it can make you feel better to understand a little bit about where he's coming from. Firstly, I don't think it's very contentious to say that we as women receive a lot more attention than guys when it comes to online dating, where you log on and dread seeing the vast array of hookup messages, sometimes even dick pics, and hey, what's up kind of rubbish. He's worried about opening it up and seeing exactly 0 replies. And that's got to be pretty heartbreaking. Guys also do get ghosted a lot and just dropped. People decide they're not interested in him, which is completely okay. And it happens to women as well, and we learn to deal with it because that's part of online dating. But remember, we have more prospects than he does. The phrase, there's plenty more fish in the sea, doesn't actually resonate with very many guys at all, because it feels to them as though they have to do all the work. So if he's already attracted your interest, he's not going to want to let go of that. Again, I am not making apologies for him. I still think it's a pretty rubbish way to treat someone, but it is at least slightly more understandable, I hope. Now, another reason that he might be breadcrumbing you is that he only reaches out when he gets lonely. He doesn't actually want a relationship. He just doesn't want to feel so lonely. He's trying to keep the connection with you going because it feels to him like it heals him when he's starting to feel bad about himself or feel alone or feels really, really down. For example, he might regularly message you on a Sunday night or very, very late in the evening. Now, that's because those are the times when he doesn't have anyone else to hang out with, and he's having to spend time alone with his thoughts. He's using you as a distraction, and you're a great distraction. But again, that does mean that he's not thinking about you as a person or your personal needs at all. The next reason that he might be breadcrumbing you is that he's only really interested in a hookup, and he doesn't think that you're interested in a hookup, but he keeps coming back just in case. So this is really common if he tries to suggest that your awesome first date activity could be having sex. That's a pretty clear sign that he just wants to hook up. He's not willing to put the work into a relationship or build a relationship with you, but he's hoping that maybe you've become lonelier or more miserable since he last spoke to you. Now, this is deeply, deeply creepy. In fact, just thinking about that kind of mindset kind of makes my skin crawl. The idea of someone hovering and waiting until you're vulnerable enough to sleep with them, that's not someone you want to be around. It's like the guys who used to hang around outside a club at kicking out time to see if anyone had gone out and had not managed to pull, and therefore, hey, we can hook up. That was probably even more awful. This is the slightly less awful online version. Okay, so what are the best real life examples of someone breadcrumbing you? So the first thing is it's when he refuses to set a date for you guys to actually have a date. So he will talk to you about what you should do on a date, where you might go. If he's being really flirty, he might say what you should wear, anything like that. But he never sets a specific date for you to actually do it. And when you try to suggest a date, there's always a good reason why he can't. So what does this look like in practice? Well, it probably means that he's there saying, oh yeah, it'd be lovely for us to go to that bar. Oh, you'll really love it. Oh yeah, they have live bands. It's awesome. Oh yeah, you said you've got that gorgeous black dress. You should wear that. It'd be really hot. And you're like, oh, okay, how about Friday? It's like, yeah. I can't do Friday. But soon. And then he'll go quiet. That's very, very clear breadcrumbing. He's just throwing out the idea of a date, and as soon as there's any chance of it actually happening, nah, not interested. So the next one is that he keeps all of his personal details private because he's in a long-term relationship. So that's one of the main reasons. He might also do it because he just doesn't really want to have you able to contact him. Breadcrumbing is all about him having control of how much of his life you get to. Now, you might think that him not giving out many of his personal details would be a bit of a red flag, justifiably. But the thing is, as women, we're used to wanting to keep quite a lot of our personal details private for our safety. We're told not to tell people where we live, not to give people our last name, not to give out too many pieces of information because those things make us vulnerable. And so we empathize when a guy doesn't want to give us that information. We're like, well, okay, even though you don't have the same safety concerns that I do, and they are allowed to have some safety concerns, but it doesn't seem fair for me to expect him to give me all the information and for me to then hold some information back. So we tolerate them not giving up very much information. And let's be honest, I don't ask to see a driver's license and to know their last name and their date of birth or their utility bill before I'm going to meet them for coffee. When you're online dating, you have to take a fair bit of information on trust. And you may suddenly realize that you don't know as much about them as you thought you did. Now, the next real life example of breadcrumbing is that he will suddenly pay a lot more attention to you for a little while if you point out to him that he's breadcrumbing you. So a guy who's breadcrumbing you doesn't actually want to lose you, or more specifically, he doesn't want to lose access to you. So when you point out to him that he's not treating you well, he will suddenly become a lot more attentive for a very short space of time. So this will probably include actually arranging to finally have that date that they've been putting off for so long. And then he'll just disappear again. The next one is that he only texts you late at night, probably when he's in bed. Now, this fits with several of his motives. Maybe his partner is asleep then, so he gets to text you without her knowing about it. Or maybe that's when he gets bored and lonely. Or maybe that's when he gets horny and is hoping for a booty call. No matter what the reason, it really isn't respectful. It might even get in the way of your routine and your need for sleep. So if you start getting texts at a specific time of night, often around about 1 or 2 in the morning, maybe even later. Earlier? Later? Who knows? You know what I mean. So if all of the messages come in at those early hours of the morning and he doesn't text you at lunchtime or in the middle of the afternoon, unless you know that there's a valid work reason why that wouldn't be possible, it's certainly a red flag that he's breadcrumbing you, if not a guarantee. So the other thing is that he won't ever acknowledge or really take accountability for his breadcrumbing when he comes back. He'll probably try to gloss it over or avoid talking about it at all. How can he do this? Well, there might be complete silence when you ask where he was. That's often used as a way to punish you for asking and try to get you to just accept his breadcrumbing. Or he'll make a casual comment about how he's super busy and, oh yeah, I really missed you, I was thinking of you, but there's no accountability there. So those are our examples of what breadcrumbing looks like and what might be going on behind the scenes in his head. What do you think? Does that fit with your experiences? Have you had any better examples of breadcrumbing? Let us know in the comments. And as always, do like and subscribe.